Hello everyone, welcome to you all. This is second unit of the psychological perspective of education, that is third paper. This lecture is also in English medium as we are trying to impart our lecture in English medium also in order to help you. But I would like to request you all kindly support us and mention this channel to your friends also so that our reach will be good and I may be promoted or motivated to make another content in English. A lecture on psychology, concept, nature, function and importance is uploaded in English medium. You can watch that video and be benefited. Kindly like, subscribe and share this channel up to the maximum. लर्निंग, मीनिंग, नेचर, टाइप एंड थ्योरीज ऑफ लर्निंग. सीखना, सीखने के सिद्धांत, उसका अर्थ, उसकी प्रकृति, उसके कितने प्रकार हैं एंड थ्योरीज ऑफ लर्निंग. सीखने के कितने तरीके के सिद्धांत हैं और कौन सी उनकी थ्योरीज हैं, इस पर आज चर्चा करेंगे. मीनिंग, लर्निंग इज essential element in human life. All life is learning. Definitely we know that demand for food by child, adult and old age person are same, but their way of expression may be different. Means we can understand, we can watch the way by which everyone demand for food, but the way of child, way of a person and way of a old age person is different. So what is this difference? The difference of attitude is outcome of learning. The whole experience, the whole life experience of the person by which he just shapes, molds his behavior. Thus individual is constantly interacting with the and influenced with the environment. Whole life person is struggling in the society, shaping his behavior in environment and influencing environment. Both are interdependent. Experiences makes person able to change or modify his behavior in order to deal the effectively with it. Thus learning is a change in behavior influenced by previous behavior or experience. So we can say that the skill, knowledge, habit, attitude, interest and other personality characteristics are the result of the learning. Definition of learning. How we can define it? Learning can be defined any relatively permanent change in behavior that occurs as a result of practice or experience is called learning. This definition has three main important components. Main point of learning is a change in behavior, better or worse. It may be positive, it may be negative. It is a change that takes place through the practice or experience, but the change due to the growth or the maturation are not learning. Means continuous level पे कॉन्शियसनेस के साथ लर्न करना ही लर्निंग में आएगा. दिस चेंज इन बिहेवियर मस्ट बी रिलेटिवली परमानेंट एंड इट मस्ट last a fairly long time. Its effect should be longer. According to Gales and others, learning is a modification of behavior through experience and training. Experience and training से अपने behavior का modification learning कहलाता है. According to J.P. Guilford, learning is any change in behavior resulting from behavior. Means प्रैक्टिस के बाद जो भी चेंज आएगा. अकॉर्डिंग टू चार्ल्स ई स्किनर, लर्निंग इज अ प्रोसेस ऑफ प्रोग्रेसिव बिहेवियर एडेप्टेशन. एडेप्टेशन जो है वो अनुकूलन है. अकॉर्डिंग टू क्रो एंड क्रो, लर्निंग इज अ एक्विजिशन ऑफ हैबिट, नॉलेज एंड एटीट्यूड. सो ऑल लर्निंग इन्वॉल्व्स एक्टिविटीज. क्या चीज़ें लर्निंग में आएंगी? दीज एक्टिविटी इन्वॉल्व इधर फिजिकल और मेंटल एक्टिविटीज़. एक्टिविटीज़ आर लर्न बाय अ इंडिविजुअल बिहेवियर ऑफ अ टाइप ऑफ लर्निंग. फॉर एग्जांपल हैबिट, स्किल, फैक्ट. दीज आर द रिजल्ट ऑफ द लर्निंग एंड देयर आर डिफरेंट टाइप ऑफ लर्निंग. नेचर ऑफ लर्निंग. We know newborn child is helpless at birth. He depends upon others, but due course of the time, he learns a number of things. Means from the childhood up to the last day of the life, means during the whole life, person always learns the things, and he learns crawl, stand, walk, run, eat, speak, dress, etc. The process of learning continues till death, and even adult during the course of his daily routine goes on learning and adding to his experiences. Here is some fundamental categories. First type: man has innate disposition, interaction and emotion. This is one hand. This is known as a stimulus, and changes in the changing environment or the environment behavior. This is another hand. Means there are two aspects. One aspect inside of the man, and second aspect outside of the man. Inside of the man and outside of the man are interacting in the society, and the person is changing in itself. अपने आप में इंसान को चेंज करना होता है, एंड लेटर ऑन वो सोसाइटी में भी समटाइम चेंज करने की कोशिश करता है. मैन हैज़ नीड्स एंड वांट्स, एंड सोसाइटी हैज़ लिमिटेड रिसोर्सेज, and means man has a tendency to manage, and man has to make certain changes. Man has a tendency to manage means sometime he may manage by himself, and sometime he modifies the environment. Thus, guided by these disposition, the person goes on learning, etc., constructing and reconstructing his experiences throughout his life, and this is known as a learning. Theories of learning. Theories of learning are different methods which are explained by psychologists for the process of learning. How person learns the things. This is explained by many psychologists in different ways, and on the basis of their tendency and traits, we can define and categorize the theories of learning. So, first classification, the theories of learning is like that. Learning theories may broadly be classified into the following categories. What are those categories? First one is stimulus and responses categories. There are one type of category in which the psychologists are confirmed that there is one stimulus, and according to that responses are there. So SR functions, SR theory, and between S and R, stimulus and response, there is a creature action. Learning is a habit formation resulting from the conditioning or associating of the stranger stimulus in the weaker stimulus. Means stimulus is a certain type of reaction which is based on some habits or some qualities. If that quality is there, that type of behavior will be there. Process of the substitution of the weaker artificial stimulus for the natural and stronger stimulus is known as a stimulus is called conditioning. That unconditioned, जो the stronger and the natural atmosphere will be known as a stimulus unconditional. SR theories with reinforcement. Reinforcement पुनर्बलन का वर्ड होता है हिंदी में, and reinforcement is associated with the again and again happening. If a person doing good thing and he is getting awarded for that, the definitely that behavior is going to be repeated. So this process of getting prize, person just inspire himself to do the behavior again and again. So Skinner's theory, learning is a matter of bond connection, and in the formation of strengthening the neutral connection between situation and responses. Means person always learns the things to behave in a specific way in a specific situation, and if a person succeeded, he learns how to behave in a certain condition. Suppose that during an earthquake, if a person is there outside of his house and he is in open area and he saves his life, then he will knew that during the earthquake the person must get into the open field in order to save his life. Means the benefited conditions, the condition in which we have acted geniusly, that are always repeated. So bond connection are formed through the trial and error. Means we do the work. If it is successful, we just repeat the things. If it is not successful, we don't get that. Then B part, SR theory without reinforcement. This is a Pavlov classical conditioning theory of learning. Means in this there is no enforcement, there is no such a process that we just depend on the learning of the new things on the basis of success or unsuccessful event. But if the things are happening in a certain way, we know that after, just like everyone knows that if clouds come and lightning is there, the rain is going to be happen. Why? Because there is a certain process. If a person head is feeling dizziness and there is a high temperature, we can assume that the person is in fever. Why? Because certain traits are there. So that's why the person always thinks, or creature always thinks and learns according to behavior and the classical activities and the certain traits. Cognitive field of theory, in this we just recognize the things, how we are going to get that, means a certain process is defined over here, and if a person is successful, he knew how to do it, that type of work. Just like if you are somewhere else and you don't know how to open the gate, and definitely sometime you just open the gate anyhow, then you just try that reaction again and again, and after few attempt you will be able to open the gate without any effort. At first attempt you will open the gate. So, the insight of the learning, Gestalt theory of learning, Levin field theory of learning, and Tolman-Stein theory of learning. Factors affecting learning. What are the factors that affect the learning? So, there are two type of factor, personal factor and social factor. So, personal factor, learner physical mental health. If a person is physically and mentally good, he will learn very well. The basic potential of the learner, what is his attitude, how his intelligence is working, what type of person is he, this will be definitely essential condition. Level of aspiration and achievement of motivation, what type of motivation is there, why the person is learning the things, he is learning the things by himself or under some pressure. If under some pressure he is getting anything, he will not be so interested. While on the other hand, if a person is ready to learn by himself, he will be more active and interesting. The goal of life, if a person has decided anything as a goal of life, he will learn it very properly. Readiness or the willpower, how person is ready, means the readiness of a person is also very essential part of the learning. Then environment factor, teacher related factor, just like knowledge of a teacher, if a teacher is knowledgeable, the student are getting very well. Student teacher behavior, if teacher behavior is friendly, the student are getting very well. Personality, if a teacher personality is a role model, if a teacher is very attracting and you can say impressive one, then the students will learn the things very easily. And class management and control, if a class is not very tidy or disciplined, then the student will not learn anything. On the other hand, if a student are very disciplined and the class is managed very well, then the lecture will be very sound and efficient, and the student will be getting the things according to their conditions and their mental abilities. So the atmosphere factor are very essential for the learning also. Content related factor, कंटेंट कैसा है, कंटेंट इफ़ेक्टिवनेस है, मीनिंगफुल है, उसकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी कितनी है, उसकी हमारे साथ सुइटेबिलिटी कितनी है, मल्टी सेंसनरी अप्रोच कितना है, वो कंटेंट हमें कैसे दिया गया है, क्या वो ऑडियो विजुअल कंटेंट है या ओनली रिटन टेक्स्ट है. देयर आर सम फैक्टर्स, नेचर ऑफ कंटेंट ऑल्सो, मीन्स अंडरस्टैंडेबल है कि नहीं, यूजफुल है कि नहीं, दैट इज इंटरेस्टिंग है कि नहीं. तो इफ़ these factors are there, then the learning process will be very effective and easy. Then theories of learning in detail. Now we will study different type of theories related with learning in detail. So psychologists have tried to explain how the people learn and why they learn. They have conducted many experiments on the animals, children, and some certain definite conclusion, and at last they could explain the modes of learning. And these situations are called theories of learning. Important theories of learning are as under ट्रायल एंड एरर लर्निंग थ्योरी, प्रयत्न और भूल का सिद्धांत कहा जाता है इसे. दिस वाज डेवलप्ड बाय अमेरिकन साइकोलॉजिस्ट E.L. थॉर्नडाइक. बर्थ इनकी 1874 में है एंड इनकी डेथ 1949 में है. ही आर्ग्यूज दैट लर्निंग टेक प्लेस थ्रू द ट्रायल एंड एरर मेथड. ही सेज दैट everybody learns. First time he does the things randomly, and naturally it will be successful or unsuccessful. If a person is successful, he will repeat the action. If he is not successful, he will not repeat the action. So by repeated action, the person will try to know how to do the things right. Learning is a gradual process. According to him, person cannot learn at random. Sudden नहीं हो सकता, gradual होगा. The individual may take many attempts to learn. The essence of learning is as the trial increases, errors decreases. जितना आप प्रैक्टिस करेंगे, जितना आप ट्राई करेंगे, उतना ही जल्दी आप सीखेंगे और मिस्टेक्स कम हो जाएंगी. This is possible because association found between the sense and impression, impulse and action. Such as association comes to be known as a bond or connection. ये सारी चीजें bond and connection में आती हैं because these bonds are connection which became strengthened and weakened in making the breaks and breaking of the habits. You may have the experience of learning of driving of motorcycle, driving of car and driving of bicycle also. So at first, you didn't know anything, but afterward, after a few unsuccessful attempts, you just tried on, and one day you started driving, but you were not perfect driver. There were some mistakes, but as soon as the practice increases, your fault decreases, and finally, you are now a perfect driver. Thus, this is a process of learning. Main point of theory. According to this theory, when individual is placed in a new situation, he makes number of random movements. Among them, those are unsuccessful are eliminated. जो unsuccessful events हैं वो eliminated होते हैं. Successful are one fixed. Gradually, individual learns to avoid unnecessary movement and reaches to the goal. Improvement through place through the repetition. Experiment. Thorndike studies the character of trial and error, learning by experiment on a cat's using box which is called the puzzle box. In an experiment, hungry cat was placed in a box and door was closed, which was opened to by pressing a latch. A fish was placed outside of the box in plate. The cat could see the fish. The cat was given 100 trial, 10 in the morning and 10 in the evening for 5 days. Means 10 trial उसके morning में 10 evening में. If cat was fed at the end of each experiment period, then this was nothing to more to eat until the next session. If succeeded in opening the door, by trial by chance he went to eat the fish. The complete record was made at the cat behavior during each trial. In this way, what happened? In the beginning, cat made a number of random effects like batting, clawing, dashing, but in gradually subsequent trials, cat reduces incorrect responses, means errors, and it was positioned to manipulate the latch as soon as was put in the box. Means at the end of the trial, end of the experiment, the cat was perfect learner. Cat knew how to open the latch, and as soon as she put into the box, she opened the box by pushing the latch and get the fish. So the cat was good learner. We all learn skill by swimming, climbing, riding through this method. Children learn to sit, stand, walk and run by this method. However, this method involves considerable waste of time of effort. Learning by conditioning. Second method, conditioning means getting used or adjusted to new things or situation or stimulus. New situation में अपने आप को adjust करना conditioning कहलाता है. It is a process by substituting original stimulus by new one and connecting to response with it. There are two type of conditioning theory. Classical conditioning, just in this type of conditioning situation existed in every classical experiment of Ian Pavlov. 1849 इनका बर्थ है एंड 1936 में इनकी डेथ है. रशियन साइकोलॉजिस्ट है ये, हु वाज अवॉर्डेड नोबेल प्राइज इन 1904 फॉर हिज क्लासिकल लर्निंग experiment. Experiment is like that. Pavlov designed a apparatus to measure the quantity of saliva produced in a response of a food. I don't want to waste the time in reading this notes. I want to explain you that Pavlov just put inside a dog and he just do a certain surgery in the neck of the dog, and he put a transparent glass tube inside the neck of a dog, and he just rang the bell every time whenever he gives the food to the dog. After some time, he just noticed that when he rang the bell, the saliva began to secrete. Just their saliva was introduced inside the neck of the dog, as it knew that the he is going to be awarded a food. Means Pavlov just decided by his experiment that by hearing the bell, the dog could knew that the food is approaching. After some time, whenever even Pavlov didn't give any food to the dog, only pressed the bell. Even then, saliva was produced. The more and more repeated actions were given to the dog, the more saliva was introduced. And later on, Pavlov just without giving a food could produce a saliva. So, by the bell, the dog could just learn the thing that the food was coming. This is known as a classical conditioning. So the result after training the dog mouth watered, salivated whenever bell was sounded, this was known as a learning with the classical responses. Explanation of this is that the theory, as I have said, you may note it down over here, that UCS unconditional stimulus जो कि है, and so at the beginning CS stimulus is there, and later on the bell became stimulus. First of all, stimulus is food, then saliva is produced. But as after some trials of the day, the bell was rang before food. So as soon as the bell was generated, the saliva began to generate. That's why the saliva which was related with the food was now related with the bell. This is known as a classical conditioning. Some principle of classical conditioning: extinction and spontaneous recovery. If a person do not get the things for a certain time, he just wiped out his experience. This is known as a extinction theory. And stimulus region generalization: whenever just in this experiment, Pavlov introduced a lightning. He just pressed the bell and then switched the light on, then gave the food. So after some time, dog began to generalize the light. Even just first he switched on the light, dog knew that the food is approaching. Without ringing of the bell, even saliva was generated. So this was known as a stimulus generalization. Stimulus discrimination means there was a difference in the saliva on the bell and the light. Higher order conditioning means another person, another stimulus can be also generalized with that thing. Apparent conditioning means controlled by consequence. If it is happening, then it will be done. Common opponent conditioning is a study of reversible behavior maintained by reinforcement schedule. American psychologist B.F. Skinner is the propounder of this theory. Instrumental conditioning, because the animal can certain operations on actions on the instrument to find the solution, means they are very easy to recognize and they can do that. B.F. Skinner, on his famous experiment by placing hungry rat on the box called for his name Skinner box. The box was containing a lever and the food tray in the corner of the box. So it was strange that animal was free to move inside the box, but pressing the lever he could get the animal a pallet of a food in which tray was as a reinforcement. Means if animal was to get the food, he must push the lever in order to get the food. In the beginning, animal didn't know how to get the food, but sometime he just do that accidentally and get the food. So he knew that by doing that thing he will get the food. So that type of situation is known as a classical conditioning. Gradually, animal learned by pressing the lever would get some food, and he repeated the responses very rapidly. The rapid increase in pressing the lever is an indication of the animal conditioning to get food. day to day, in the day to day life, it is also very essential, because we can develop a certain good habit in our children by giving them reward on doing good things and punishing them for doing the bad things. If reinforcement is given on any activity, positive or negative, positive reinforcement will increase the repeated action, and negative reinforcement just deny the repetition. Result, Skinner made his famous statement, rewarded behavior is repeated. Instrumental conditioning involve more activity by the learner than classical conditioning. Skinner conducted experiment on different animal like pigeons, rat, and the reinforcement, which is the most repeated aspect of this experiment, is divided in two types. Positive reinforcement, which is used for reward training. Negative reinforcement is a negative punishment, is used as a punishment to stop undesirable responses or behavior. Apparent conditioning is useful in shaping undesirable behavior and also in the modification of behavior. Learning by insight, new concept developed by psychologist known as Wolfgang Kohler, who belonged to the Gestalt school of psychology. Many times learning proceeds some more efficient process, trying those methods which are very seems to relation to solution. Learning by perceiving, imagination means a person having a sense and intuition will have to think how to solve a problem. Relationship in a scene, understanding the situation by insightful learning. The theory was according to Gestalt theory. Perception of a situation as a whole gives better understanding than sum of total in parts. This is situation viewed by whole will definitely look different from the viewed as it part. Means if you will think the situation very connective activity, means if you will look the situation as a whole, you will very soon find the result. If you will find and look the things in a part, you will not learn the things properly. Experiment, Kolher constructed his famous experiment on chimpanzee called Sultan. In experiment, Sultan was put inside the case and the banana was placed inside the distance outside of cage. The chimpanzee was given two sticks so constructed as one of his stick could be fitted into another to make a stick longer. The hungry sultan first attempted to get the banana, but anyhow he could not get the banana and failed to reach it. By effort, chimpanzee became tired and left the attempt to reach banana and start playing sticks with the playing sticks. Means he was so frustrated that he just leave his thought of getting banana, but trying began to, started to play with the sticks, and while playing with the sticks, suddenly or institutionally, he just fitted one stick into another and getting the stick longer, and by this longer stick sudden flash of idea he could get the banana very easily. And later on he just, as soon as he was put inside the case, he just fitted the stick one into another and get the banana very fastly. So here the method is insightful learning is very useful because it involves many higher in mental process as thinking, reasoning and intelligence. Insight occurs when the individual sees in flash and solution to the problem of his difficulty. Now theories are over. We are going to laws of learning. E.L. Thorndike has explained three laws of learning called primary laws, and in addition there are also five subsidiary laws connection to the trial and error theory of the learning. Primary law, these are the basic important law which explain the basis aspect of learning. First of all, law of readiness. If a person is ready to learn, he will be definitely learn the things very well. And second law, law of exercise. As more and more exercise will be done in the learning process, more and more positive result will be there. So practice makes man perfect is very correct in this method. And after this, a person studying very hard and practicing very hard will learn the things very actively. And law of effect, this says that the connection is accomplished by satisfying effect. If a person is satisfying by the result of his working, then he will learn very easily and go on working. Secondary law, there are some laws formed by the Thorndike. Law of multiple response base means as much as more effort will be done on the learning of new things, the result will be positive. Law, the set of attitude, mental set or the positive attitude is very important in learning. If a person is not learning the things positively, he will not learn the things. Associated shifting means person will have to shift his knowledge and fundamental notions in the learning. If a person will not imply his own knowledge and learning or attitude in the learning process, he will not learn by himself. Laws of the potency of the potency of the element. If a person is not capable of learning and employing his own common sense in the learning process, he will not learn. And the law of response of the analogy means if a person want to learn the things, he must employ his analogy, reasoning and logic as well as his past experiences in learning. So by all these ways, person will learn the things very positively if he will try to do the things. So here we conclude our lecture. Thanks for watching. If it is helpful for you, kindly like, subscribe and share to your friends. Thank you.